money kind of thing.
Again, Rohit, my question to you would be, money is available outside and you are the provider of money in the domestic markets. Are you raising capital? I mean, not as Kotak. I'll ask you to raise on the industry perspective. Is it possible for financial institutions to raise money abroad for housing in India?
Hello. I've been sitting through some of the sessions which we've had over the last 2 days. And money and the availability of capital at a right cost has been cited as one of the impediments to mass housing, sustainable development of mass housing. I think I would like to highlight one key factor here. What is the contribution of the cost of capital to the overall cost of the end product? If we do some rough math, it is very, very low. So as lenders, and we are an integrated corporate investment bank operating in real estate for a long, long time. And through our experience with working with developers across the country, we see lack of focus on improving efficiency in processes, of course, in building the product, as also the ability of the entrepreneur to focus on fundraising and finance as a core business strategy. That's the larger question. We can't have entrepreneurs leaving this activity of fundraising and financing, kind of outsourcing it to a certain set of people, a finance cell or an individual. Because unless and until that kind of focus comes to fundraising, and whoever is there today, means each lender or investor, whether domestic or international, their thought process is alike. What they look for, they look for a certain return on their money. Means risk classes can vary. So you have at one end of the spectrum, you have some of the nationalized banks who are willing to lend at say 13, 14, 15%. At the other end of the spectrum, you have private equity funds. Even they are kind of lenders today because they are unable, they don't today have the confidence of going ahead and taking equity bets. They did so 5 years back, all of them burned their fingers. So the only way one can improve availability and flow of capital to the sector is by becoming more attractive, not only being attractive, but being perceived to be attractive as a destination where money can come in and it can give returns. Because you're also competing with capital flow, competing with other sectors which are seeking capital. Real estate certainly is one of the largest places where capital can be put in and good returns are generated. So expectation of returns is also very different. So as pointed out earlier, availability is there. We have to focus on making ourselves worthy of achieving it. There's a popular perception that some large names and some large guys are the ones who can get money. But being somebody who has worked with various guys whom we can call mid-sized, the good thing about a mid-sized company is the focus of the promoter and the entrepreneur on the business. There is a scalability issue with this industry. You can't quickly professionalize and become big. We don't have many success stories as far as scalable large businesses are concerned in this industry. So eventually the business will be dominated by the mid segment in terms of companies. And they are the ones who will continue to attract capital, provided you put your house in order from that perspective.
Rohit, you've pointed out two things. One is the scalability of the promoters model, of the Indian promoters model, and the bandwidth to execute. These are the two basic issues you have listed out. Jimmy, are you ready to fund your money in Indian real estate for mass housing? At what percentage?
I think that's the only area in India, set aside hotel, in real estate, where actually ECB money can come in. And if it's being structured in the right manner and worked out with the right partner, I think there is lots of money available in EWS and LIG. And cost of funds is not an easy thing to say. How long is a piece of string? But I'd like to say that money can come maybe around 4.5% in US dollar terms. You add hedging on top of that. And if you're getting the hedging done at wholesale hedging cost in the overseas market, it should not be prohibitive. So cost of funds should be anywhere between 8 to 10% landed. I think that's possible and it's achievable. And it's only about structuring it and having the right product.
Jimmy, our housing market is hovering at about close to 12 to 14% per annum. That's the housing loans you get at. Do you think you want to lend your money at 8 to 10% still?
100%. 8% in overseas market is a good return. Money is floating around at LIBOR plus 50 bips, LIBOR plus 80 bips. How do you get hold of that? And who can get hold of that? I think that's a challenge which India as a country and the Indian real estate industry has to take upon their shoulders, because you need access to this money. Once you have access to this money, sky is the limit. And I think you can do it.
Okay. Jimmy, are you ready to lend your money to Rohit, Kotak Mahindra Bank at 4%? And he can lend it at 10% to the market?
I'd love to work something out with Kotak.
Very well. Just on the lighter side.
I would like to add to what Jimmy pointed out. He interestingly pointed out the case of hotels. Now, ECB is allowed in hotels for a long, long time. But you go out there and talk to people who are developing hotels, it's not as easy to get that money. Because allowing ECB into hotels does not mean money becoming available for the project. Because end of the day, somebody outside, some institution has to take that project risk, the party risk, underwrite that risk and come in.
Rohit, I'd like to interrupt you here. There are some young participants, there are some laymen, there are people from outside organizations. So I would like you to dwell on the ECB aspect as to what ECB is all about.
In very, very plain and simple terms, it is foreign money in debt form. Because we talk about FDI, so FDI basically is equity money. And ECB is basically debt money. It is not allowed in all sectors. So I was just talking about hotels where it was allowed very early. It was allowed in townships. It's been a long, long time when it was allowed in these sectors, but we have not seen a great traction in terms of that money coming in. The reason is the lack of transparency, because unless and until, even today, while we do a lot of business in real estate, but the majority of the institutions, they still, when they sit with a developer, the discussion starts from the negative. And at the end of, say, one discussion or multiple interactions, you have to move into the positive territory in terms of giving confidence to the guy that, yes, I am the one